Places matter, especially places where battles are fought. The first battle of the Civil War was in the eastern theater of the war. So if you look at Google Earth here, we are on the East Coast. Here's Long Island, the beautiful beaches of the Jersey Shore, and I've marked some of these places already. You can see all the sort of like the weird, twisty, foldy, streaky area here. These are the Appalachian Mountains. Okay. Let me zoom in. And we want to see our capital at Washington, D.C. Okay. And D.C. has kind of a triangular shape. Okay, and I can't get it to show, but that's all right. So it's surrounded by Maryland on part of it. Maryland is a border state, a slave state that's in the Union, and the rest of it is surrounded by Virginia, a Confederate state. So it's a little bit like being surrounded or in hostile territory, because a lot of people in Maryland were Confederate sympathizers, and some men from Maryland did in fact fight for the Confederacy. And we know that the strategy in the East is to capture the Confederate capital at Richmond, Virginia. So here's Richmond down here. And Richmond is about 96 miles from Washington, D.C. So the Confederates want to protect that at all costs. And the first battle of the war is going to take place in Manassas, Virginia, which is about 26 or 28 miles from Washington, D.C. The Confederate Army was gathering at Manassas to sort of threaten to D.C., to provoke a battle, to scare the Union by coming so close. And it's in Virginia, so it's still in their defending strategy. And in fact, the railroad's going to be very important in this battle. While many Union troops will march out to the battle, Confederates will get reinforcements by railroad. Because if we zoom in on Manassas, its name at the time was Manassas Junction, because 2 or 3 railroads came together there, and there is still a railroad that goes to Washington, D.C. in Manassas. And it also had some main roads. So we'll come over to the battlefield, like the Warrenton-Washington Pike. Confederates theoretically could just march along that road to D.C. or take the train into D.C. So the Union Army wants to prevent that from happening. So it's kind of, for the Confederates, like a decoy to scare the Union and to keep them away from Virginia. So it's also near the Bull Run Creek, which is our nice little squiggly creek all along here. So it's got water, main roads, railroads, our battlefield, and interesting story. A guy named Wilbur McLean had a house out here somewhere. The house no longer exists. And he and his family lived there. The Confederates took it over as their battle headquarters, which Wilbur did not like, being in the middle of the battle at all. So afterwards, he sold that house, moved his family down by Richmond, Virginia, thinking if he, where is Richmond? There it is. Thinking if he's farther away from the action, that the Union Army will never get anywhere close to Virginia. And he buys a new house at this tiny little town over here called Appomattox Courthouse to keep his family safe from the war. And we'll hear more about Wilbur McLean later in this unit. So yes, places matter. Battles are fought in certain locations for reasons, and it usually has to do with strategy, whether it's supply, communication, transportation, or having something to do with the Union strategy or the Confederate strategy in the Civil War.